The Warlords are back to talk ETC with some special guests, the Carlo Smash, and our thoughts on the upcoming 3.0 tournament. We are sponsored by Complete AV. Thank you very much for listening to the Part-Time Warlords. Hello, Warlords. This is Chris bringing you finally another episode. I've got some awesome Warlords to share the stage with today. I've got three in particular, and we're going to talk a range of things. So first of all, I'm going to say hello to Tim once again. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. Happy to be here. Looking forward to it.
The headphones are working really well. Sounds really good.
No worries.
And you've got a great event to share with us, but we'll get to that in a little bit because we need to welcome in some call the Godfather of Fantasy. There's all sorts of names that people give him, but Glenn is joining us up from sunny Queensland. How you doing, Glenn?
Very good, thank you, Chris. Happy to be here as well.
It's great to see you. Obviously, at the event, was it a couple of weeks ago now? And great to
2 weeks back. Yeah. Yep.
Great to chat. And one person I was very glad to see, but very unhappy to see later on when I got absolutely hammered by him was your son Sam. So Sam, welcome as well.
Yeah, hi. It's good to be here.
I learned so much. I know, it was good. It was good. I got to finish up pretty early, so that helped me pack up and get out of there on time on Father's Day.
Yeah, I was just helping you out.
He hammered me as well.
I did, yeah. No, that's exactly right. I should have told him at the start that I need to leave early. He's like, I found the the little inch that I left. And I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. We could talk about that a bit later. But thank you very much. And if you're listening and you have no idea who Glenn and Sam are, they, of course, are representatives for our ETC team for a number of years. But I'll let them talk about it. So, Glenn, do you want to give us a bit of a background of yourself and your wargaming sort of journey?
Yeah, sure. I started wargaming when Sam was, were you 10, Sam? 11. Sam's not there. Sam's disappeared. Anyway, Sam was 10 or 11, went to a mate of his for just to spend a day over there at holidays, like and they ended up at a games workshop and beginner's day, and he came back with a very badly painted Space Marine, and I knew nothing about it at all. And I said, oh, did you like it? And he said, oh, it was pretty good, except they had a fantasy version there which looked way better. And I think it was the next day we drove over and we bought the 8th edition Warhammer Fantasies Island of Blood set. So Sam started playing Skaven right back then, and I got the High Elves and very quickly didn't like the models, so ended up that Christmas, I think the boys bought me a box of Forsaken. I think they were from Warriors Chaos. So then I started playing with Warriors from there. So we played 8th edition till its demise, and then had really been enjoying rank and flank stuff. Age of Sigmar came out, had a little bit of a dabble in that, didn't particularly like the skirmish thing and like the rank and flanks and all the ranks and files, and all of the people that we were playing with just said, well, let's play this 9th Age stuff because that looks like a comped version of 8th edition.
Yeah.
So we moved into 9th Age, and then I guess here in Brisbane I ended up organising, I'd say, the majority of the events in Brisbane for quite a while, and held masters a few times at my house, and then thought I'd like to play a little bit more seriously and managed to get onto the ETC team. So ETC is the European Team Championships, for those that don't know. Always held in Europe in their summer holidays, and it's basically the world championship for 9th Age. Was 8th edition fantasy prior to that. This is my 5th year of going to ETC, and I was the captain of the team this year as well. So ETC is a teams tournament. We can talk about that a little bit more later.
5 years already. That's astounding. Wow. I guess the big COVID in between kind of is a bit of...
2018 was my first ETC.
Yeah. And that wasn't too long ago, was it? That you guys returned only a month ago?
Yeah, we came
Yep.
back. I think 10 days before the event that we saw you guys at. So
Mm.
yeah, we were pretty keen after playing ETC. We had a holiday for 2 weeks after that over in Europe.
Mhm.
So then when we got back, we were writing lists on the plane and all that sort of stuff. 28-hour flight, you got to do something. So
Oh yeah, that's a good way to pass the time on the plane.
yeah, yeah.
What's your favorite army, Glenn?
I am probably the textbook definition of a hobby butterfly, and I just flip and jump around between things, which is probably sometimes to my detriment.
Mhm.
If I stuck with one faction all the time, I'd probably be better at that. But I don't tend to understand armies very well until I play them myself. So I like to play different things.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I think I've got like 14 of the 16 armies, I think. So between Sam and I. So
Impressive. And I know you got a lot of custom stuff, right?
yeah, I guess especially I got into 3D printing pretty early on, and we've got a resin printer really nicely dialed in with a high quality resin that's good for gaming. It's not brittle. So a lot of the regular resins that people use is very fragile, and it's fine if you're going to print a model and paint it and sit it on the shelf. But if you're handling it, all the little fine features like your horns and tails and
Yeah.
spears and weapons and stuff, they just snap off. So we found this nice resin by Amera Labs. It's called TGM7. Costs 140 Australian dollars a litre. That's still way cheaper than buying models, but it's got some flexibility built into it. So yeah, so we've got heaps of 3D printed stuff now. But prior to that, I used to be quite happy converting models as well, which was fun. So I've got my UD army is actually a lot of Necron because they've got that Egyptian theme about them. And then you've probably never seen it. I've got an Orcs and Goblins army, which is sort of like a weird world war, if that makes sense. So I've used a lot of 40k orc stuff, but it's got fantasy figures and stuff, and I've done head swaps and all that sort of stuff. So
I saw it on your hobby table. You showed us when we were over once. I think you were building it at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. So I still got that. I should probably go back and play that. But my army choices often get influenced by what other people in the ETC team are specializing in. So I tend to not play those armies. So this year we had a very good Orc and Goblin player, so there was just no point me going down the Orc and Goblin route.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a very tempting one as well. The whole team dynamic is a whole nother discussion, isn't it? It's almost another game within a game.
We can have that later if you like. So.
And Sam, how about yourself? So we heard that you did the classic paint a Space Marine. I remember painting my Blood Angel, and bringing him home, and then never playing or painting any 40k stuff ever again. What about yourself? Introduce the folks to yourself.
Space Marine's lost to time now. Yeah, well, I mean, Dad's basically done my whole backstory there, right?
I'd like to point out that Space Marine is probably one of 3 models that Sam's ever painted in his entire life.
No, I think I'm probably around 10.
Really?
Yeah, just okay. Not all of them. Warhammer miniatures.
Dry brushing is your friend.
So
just get on to dry brushing.
I don't enjoy the hobby side of it. Yeah, I don't like that. But yeah, I'm more I more enjoy the mechanical side and doing list building and actually like playing around with the game mechanics and stuff. That's where I find a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. And favorite army, you played demons a fair bit, and Scave Verminswarm as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So probably my favorite army is Verminswarm, I'd say. But my favorite list is a demon list, so it's a bit different. But I also just really enjoy playing new stuff and fiddling around with new books as they come out and finding fun stuff in that. and I can have a chat about that demon list a bit later if you'd like, because it's the one I took to the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to get you guys to contribute on some stuff on what you see in the changes in the books and how they might play differently or what they might do differently, especially in the context of 3.0. So we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But yeah, thanks for the backstory.
I'd certainly never played anything like Sam's Demon List before. It's deploys pretty quickly, I'd say, at the Carlo Smash.
But yeah, if you don't know, it was all scouting. Is that right? All scouting, all ambushing, something.
There is one unit in it that is not scouting or ambushing. You deploy that, and you say, "I'm finished deploying." You can deploy your whole army, and then you deploy the rest of your army in scouting phase, and you get to go first. It's quite fun.
Yeah.
Please tell me they patched that in 3.0.
Yeah, you can't do it anymore, unfortunately. They broke the list badly.
And you'd only get the +2 anyway. Yeah.
It's definitely gone.
Yeah. Well, they just removed... They completely redid Dark-Eyed.
I'm going to throw it to Tim now. So, speaking of 3.0, Tim, we've got our next... or yours and the club's next event coming up in, a month and a half now? Do you want to spruik your event a bit?
Yeah, we do. Is it the first 3.0 event in Australia? Which I think it will be, yeah. Scary prospect considering I don't know the rules myself, but still plenty of time to learn.
We had 3 2.0 events that were meant to be the last ones, so they kind of just get dragged out. So
that's the other funny thing. It's called the Grave Calls too, and I called the last one the Grave Calls because Ninth Age was completely dead at the time. Well, at least in New South Wales anyway. So here we are, almost 12 months later, and we've got the Grave Calls too, Electric Boogaloo. So so it'll be in Newcastle, in Hamilton, in Newcastle, New South Wales, at the Gallipoli Legions Club, the GAL. On the 27th of October. It's a Sunday, and it'll be part of the Newcastle Legions Games Club. So, starting at 9 o'clock, we're going to have 3 rounds, 3,500 points. I know the season pack says that a standard game should be 4,000 points, but we're all still learning, and we can only fit in sort of 2.5 hours a round. So I thought I'd just lower it a little bit to try and get it a bit quicker, because you don't want games going to like turn 4. You want to go like turn 6. You want to go the full thing. So, just come along. It's just $20, $10 to the Newcastle Games Club on the day, and then $10 for me for prize support. And there's plenty of food options nearby, and it's a bar, so you can have as many beers as you want. I'm not going to stop you. I don't have an RSA, so come along. It'll be a great day. There'll be other games being played there as well. The Games Club, they play Old World, they play a bit of everything. They play 40k and all that sort of stuff. So it's just a good day. Hopefully, all of the Sydney blokes can make it. I know it's not a 2-day event, so it's probably a bit too much to ask for the Victorians and the Queenslanders. But so let's all learn the 3rd edition together. And the scenarios will be from the season pack. I just need to get my head around it. I've skimmed it. I haven't. Almost got no idea what's going on, but I will let people know what's happening with the scenarios as well. So should be good. That's the 27th of October in Newcastle. Come along.
The boogaloo as your image suggests. Have a look on Facebook, guys. It's already up. It's on. It's actually on the forum as well. And we'll put it onto New Recruit as soon as we can.
I may have used some of the unsavory parts of the internet to create that image, and they didn't want to cooperate and spell boogaloo correctly, so that's the best I could get. Very good.
And it's the spiritual home of fantasy, I suppose you'd call it, the Gallipoli Club, right? Yeah,
there was always, for Castle Assault and things like that, always massive tournaments. I think DogCon Sydney was bigger. And it certainly CanCon and things like that. But they've been doing fantasy non-stop for a long, long time in Newcastle. Yeah. I think Old World this year in Castle Assault probably got 60 players, things like that. So
yeah, it was. I think even last time when we did Grave Calls 1, there's War Master going on, I think it was. Is that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, I've actually got a couple of War Master armies in the cupboard. So, but Yeah,
that's a conversation for another day. I'm really tempted by Warmaster.
Let's get them on board. Maybe they're bitter with the old world. Maybe they don't like getting smashed by dragons, level 4 mages all the time. Let's show them a better way, guys.
Yeah. Double level 4s and Banshee Screams. Yeah. But we're so grateful for you to putting that on, and we'll give everyone notice about November or December event. I'm just trying to lock in something now, either up near where Carlo was or a bit further south as well, wherever we can find a cheapish, goodish venue. So yeah, plenty of 1 dayers coming around. The 2 dayers we will have a kind of a plan going forward next year. But yeah, we're super lucky to have Glenn and Sam and Haig come down for Carlo Smash.
And Bobo.
And Bobo, of course. Can't forget Bobo. Haven't seen him in a real long time. So we were really lucky to have them come down to Carlo Smash, run by Matt at Matt's place. Sunny, windy, beautiful day. Somehow we all fit in his apartment, which is...
and Jack made the trip up from Melbourne.
Yeah, we should mention
and Willie,
Jack.
of course. Yep, Jack, who has been on one of our co-hosts, has came up as well, which is fantastic. He's the first person to book a ticket usually, so we're extremely lucky to have him along as well. We might as well talk about Carlo Smash just a little bit. Aside from Tim and I getting smashed, it was super fun. Does anyone want to maybe might go to Sam? Sam, I think you were pretty successful. Do you want to give us a quick recap of your Carlo Smash and your scouting?
Can I
horrifying...
quickly defend myself? I came in the top half. Thank you very much. What's this getting smashed business? It might have been Cordy the next day.
By Sam.
By Sam. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Go for it, Sam.
Yeah. So round one was interesting because we did a state of origin between the Queenslanders and the New South Walians, which the Queenslanders victoriously won. I believe.
Welshmen.
So that's always good. And then I believe
there's a flag.
So I played
Hugo's waving it.
I also played. So I played actor in the team's part, the state of origin. Yeah. And then I played Max, and I also played Joe, and I won. I think I won all of them. I won all of them except for actor, who I tied with.
Wow.
Yeah, you had 4 wins and a draw.
4 wins and a draw. Yeah.
70. What's that out of again? It's out of 100, isn't it?
100. Yes.
I'll get it up for you guys. We'll have a quick peek here.
No, don't look at it because my score's terrible.
Yes, that did the opposite.
My score was looking all right after 4 rounds.
I had a very difficult day too. Not helped by the fact that my game 3 versus Jack Williams, I consumed an inordinate amount of whiskey.
Yeah, you were looking a bit worse for wear on Saturday night.
But I didn't make the best tactical decisions.
It made the Chinese feed taste all that better though on the Saturday.
Yeah. I was probably lucky to get through the ID check at the front door, to be honest.
We were kind of sheltering a few people as we walked in, actually. It was really awesome to get everyone together. Funnily enough, looking at it, Sam had 4 wins and a draw, and Hugo had 4 wins and a loss. So by the old NFL metric, Sam comes in first place. But Hugo was our winner, and I did allude to earlier I think he was our lone win, and there was a draw in the first round with the New South Wales versus Queensland. And he pretty much just dominated in his games. He got the first match was actually the closest match against you, Glenn.
That was against me, yeah. 13-7. Yeah.
Is that your ETC role?
Yeah, pretty much. Oh well, was it? Well, the ETC role was to not lose big. That was my ETC role. Yeah.
That's a big win. That's a big win then. 7 points is great, isn't it?
Well, 7 points is okay. 7 points is okay. Yeah.
And then he went 18, 19, 20, and then he had an 8-12 to Haig at the end, where he was clinging on to those desperate points because he pretty much won it unless Sam got a. I think you did get a 20.
20, and he'd already beaten me.
Yeah, and he'd already beaten you. Yeah,
before he put his results in. So it was impossible for him to. Maybe whoever was in second could have maybe done.
I think it was Haig. Yeah,
Haig could have done.
We had a bit of a running joke that he's always taking these Dread Elf lists, but none of them are the Dread Fleet that he promised that he would take, which he backed out of the event. The Riverwood Rumble when he was supposed to take the Dread Fleet and he never did. So he's got to come back and take them at some point, even though the models look remarkably like friggin' pirates. So yeah, we had Haig come down and have a really good performance. Bobo with his gigantic, super gigantic dinosaur toys, which we would totally expect with the Titanopod. Max with his Dwarf Horde. Actor with his vampire night bus with 4 vampires in it. Tim, tell us about yours.
Yeah, so shout out to anyone who had to play on the balcony day one. I had to play there twice. I lost a magic card, but as I think Sam told me, he's like, you'll never need those again. So that it wasn't the end of the world. Basically, everything had to be under something heavy. Yeah. Any of your sheets, any of your cards, all had to be on something heavy, and your plastic miniatures as well. So yeah, I played. Who did I play? Day one, I played Will. He also had Warriors, so it was Warriors versus Warriors, and he got this big charge on me, like turn 2 or something like that, and I just ripped through my core Warriors, which I thought I didn't expect that to happen, but luckily the Doom Lord and his Forsworn bunker just did his thing and just came around the side, and the Feldrak came around the other side and sort of did a bit of a pincer move, and I got bit of a big win on that one, so that was 18. And then played Jack, a very cagey game, didn't know if I should engage him, but he beat me 13-7 with his ogres. And then doing not too bad, have to come up against Sam at that stage and got humbled a bit by Sam, but I got 4 points out of Sam, which I think is the most I've ever gotten out of you, Sam. But personal win there. And then I had to retire for day 2, and my friend Mark Cordy he took it over for day 2 and played.
Yeah, you ducked
Chris.
Me.
I know. didn't give you the pleasure of your vengeance. So, but you still smashed Cordy 16-4, and then Cordy came home with a big win, 20 on Brendan against his Undying Dynasties. So that sort of propelled us up the rankings a little bit there. So.
I didn't realize he got a 20 on the last match. I really should have. I taught him a lot about that list in that one game. Then I guess.
Yes.
Wait. So hang on. You were saying you did well in the top half. I'm looking at the score. It seems like most of this wasn't you actually.
Well, you don't have to deal with semantics there, you know.
It was impressive that
one of the wins
that Mark could come in and get that many points actually, because he was admitting he was just like, I got no idea what this does or this does or this does.
Yeah, he was just saying to me in the last game is basically, he was getting all the charges he wanted off against me, but the list was good enough that it smashed whatever charged it. So I could take credit for that, I guess, Sam. But yeah. So thanks, Cordy. Carried me on his back on day 2.
Awesome.
But no, it was an awesome event. Yeah, I came back to help pack up and stuff, but then I wish I didn't. There was some of the smells in that room. What was happening? Yeah,
you did reappear. I forgot. I was on the way out and you were on the way back in. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah,
but that seemed like a pretty good locale actually for a few of you guys that you didn't have to travel as far. So
yeah, not too bad.
Definitely going to think about doing something in that area again. There were a few faces again. Just want to shout out a few faces who popped back up after a little while. We had Joe come in and fix all the plumbing. Literally, as we walked in, he was fixing the plumbing in Matt's place, and he had his high elves there for day 1. Henry had the same with his beautiful wood elves, the tree themed army as well. And I think we hadn't seen William H for a couple of tournaments. It was really great to see him. With a lot of Hugo's coaching. They've been working on it a lot, and he did really well as well with his. He was using Warriors, wasn't it?
Yeah,
William Harriman was using Warriors.
Yes.
So
yeah. And I hadn't seen Scotty in a long time either, so it was great to catch up with him.
And Scotty, of course, who I need to invite over again, because he comes on to down my way where the combat company is and sells a bunch of his models. So we missed the last one. I'll have to catch him for the next one. I got to play Jack Williams' ogres, who got a huge charge and just demolished me with the beautiful photos on Facebook of his ice spaces, which really make the entire army pop. So that was awesome to look at. But then I just got charged by everything, and it was horrendous. With my vampires, William, who we just mentioned, with his Warriors of the Dark Gods, went to a standstill. We went to 10-10. Henry and I had a real drag out sort of huge impassable in the middle of the table, so nothing could flank charge anything. So it was quite a grinding sort of affair as well. And then we had a big sort of slapfest against Tim's Warriors, commanded by the Lieutenant Mark as well. That was really fun. And then Sam deployed, and what was it? 11 charge? I can't remember. It was 11 charge.
I think it was an 11-inch charge that I got on turn 1. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I mispositioned my guys, and my bus died at the end of turn.
Yeah. So turn 1, I charged the vampire, the Winged Reapers with my Clawed Fiends.
Winged Reapers.
They kill them. Then they overrun into the flank of the Vampire Knight block. They kill them, so they kill them to a man, so that it's only the vampire left, and the vampire is touching 3 guys, so it can't even turn to face. And it's not a good time for the vampire.
Oh, it was so hilarious, because basically every game I've played, and I'll have a bit of a vid going up of it, is I have one unit in my army. I have one good unit in my army, and it was neutered turn 1. So I was like, oh, okay.
It didn't even get to move, I don't think.
No, nothing at all. So lots of notes for me to take back and work on for next time. But no, it was great anyway, because I did have to pack up, because it was Father's Day, which is a bit unfortunate, but ran off to dinner and got there perfectly on time. So thank you, Sam, for that. I got the brownie points from the family because of your work. So that was Carlo Smash. I'll just go back and just repeat. So we had Hugo, Sam, and Haig as our top 3. Bobo just out there on 4. A lot of close games with Bobo. It was great to see him with Actor as well. Haig, I think he pretty much played all the sort of top players. Yep.
Yeah, he did.
He pretty much did. He played all the top players. So he had some pretty tricky matchups there as well, bringing his Saurian Ancients in. Great. So yeah, thanks to all. Thanks to Matt again. He couldn't come on tonight, but again, he'll be listening. Thanks to Matt for organising, and hopefully it will be another Carlo Smash at some point.
I'd be very happy to return to a Carlo Smash.
Yes, I think he just needs to pay for his wife to go on another holiday, and yeah.
Fiji, she went to Fiji, I think. So
beautiful.
Maybe another
He'll just have to up
island.
the entry fee.
Yeah. Oh goodness, yeah. It was a pretty lucrative sort of deal, wasn't it? Father's Day weekend, no family there. It's like, okay. My wife was like, "Why is his family not there?" She was very sus on the whole thing. Why are you organising this on Father's Day? So I'll be
that's
very
why
happy to come back.
I couldn't come day 2 because of Father's Day. Yeah.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Good on you. I had to do a bit of finagling, but it worked out in the end. So yeah, that pretty much wraps that up, and that wraps up 2.0. Finally, we can set sail. 2.0 is dead, and we had probably the majority of events that we played were in 2.0. I'd say, because it's probably the most sort of stable edition. I'm not sure exactly if anyone remembers when 2.0 was released. I'm guessing it's about 2020.
To minimum 3 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's been a few little hot fixes on the way, but the rule set's pretty stable for that entire time. Yeah,
I found, and even now thinking about it, and I look back through my Google Drive, because I've been doing a lot of stuff on my Google Drive, and I find the old lists. We used to submit them as an actual document or something like that. And I still remember my first 9th Age list was the CanCon. I don't remember what year it was, but we were playing 0.8 or whatever the edition was at the time.
Yeah.
But still, some of the rules are still in there from then. There's still a Ghoul King. I had a Ghoul King, and I had another Ghoul King on a Terrorgeist. a lot of the items were pretty much the same. So it's interesting to see how they learn from the previous edition and they keep certain things in as you update it. So another big event that obviously was a yearly one that kind of ushered in this change, and then 3.0 dropped pretty much a month or so after it finished, was the ETC. So Glenn, you mentioned that you guys have been there for 5 years. Sam, have you been there?
No, I didn't mention. I've gone to the ETC 3 times. Yeah, three times.
It must be nice to go together.
Yeah, it's nice.
Well, I guess we started playing these war games together, so it's a good thing for a father-son bonding sort of thing. So we've always got something to talk about. We probably should play more games than we do because we get busy. Life gets busy. But I actually was chatting with Sam just a couple of days ago, saying we need to set aside a regular weekly time to play. So that's sort of a resolution getting back from ETC is to try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are playing for Australia, and you're playing for Australia as a father and son combo. There mustn't be many examples like that, because a lot of sports and that, usually you wouldn't have the father and son playing the same team. So it's pretty rare. It's a pretty amazing thing happening.
You say that, but New Zealand's got a brother team.
There you go.
Oh yeah. They got 2 brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so good.
That's certainly more common. In the rugby, there's 3 Barrett brothers that play for the All Blacks and things like that. So yeah, but yeah, father and son in the same sort of representative Australian team. Yeah, it'd be pretty rare.
I think it's probably because in a sporting team, normally the father's going to be a bit too old to play the sport, I would imagine.
Yeah, you could have lawn bowls or darts.
Father-son lawn bowls. I think that the problem with that one is the son's too young to play lawn bowls.
True.
Yeah, it's not exactly a pro wrestling tag team, but yeah.
If any of our keen listeners want to go and research if that's happened many other times in history, that'd be great.
And did you guys get an inkling? Is ETC still going to be a 9th age event into the next year at least?
All impressions indicating yes. Prior to ETC's 6 games over 3 days. So 2 games per day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Prior to the first game on Friday, they had a captain's meeting. So we had 28 countries competing at ETC this year. So all the captains were together, and one of the questions they asked was just a show of hands whether the captains felt that, and this isn't binding, they just wanted a bit of an indication as to whether the captains were likely to play 3.0, and it hadn't even dropped at that stage, or Old World. And it was probably 3/4 of the hands went up for 3.0. And there was a little bit of discussion about Old World in its current form not being, needing a lot of work if you wanted to try to play it at ETC level, just because of the way the rules are written and varying interpretations on rules and things like that. So there'd have to be a comp pack, so a modification pack made to the current rules as they stand, because it would just be a difficult event to run and adjudicate on, because there's yeah. So I'm not hating on Old World.
No. It's just not a tournament.
It's not. The rules aren't written tight enough for a tournament. Yeah. So great for playing with your friends, and like if you're going to have a like a local event here in Australia with some people and they're all in the same sort of mindset, that's great. But if you're playing for your country, then people are looking for, trying to do the very best for their country. They're going to play as hard as they can. And if there's holes in the rules, then people are going to try to exploit those. So, so the 9th age rule set is actually written primarily from the focus of ETC. And trying to be as precise as possible, and obviously situations will come up where it is grey and you need to have a referee come in and a judge come in and make a call. But for the most part, the rule set is pretty good, I think. So
yeah.
So I think at this stage, highly likely it will be 3.0. That vote happens October, I believe October. So the captains of the teams vote on what system they will play, and then once the system is voted for, then the potential hosts will put their applications in, and then the captains will once again vote on where it'll be. So
Yeah, full on.
not too sure who's putting applications in, but for those that didn't know, it was in Krakow in Poland this year.
Well, it's definitely not going to be in Australia.
No. It always usually tends to be in, well, it's obviously always in Europe, and it tends to be in the countries there where it's a little bit cheaper to get your food, drink, and accommodation. So you probably be unlikely to see it like in London, for instance.
Yeah.
But so events that I've been to have been Croatia, Serbia, Italy, Amsterdam. That was a really good one, even though that was a bit more expensive, but it was super well run. And then Krakow this year. So
yeah. You mentioned it just there, but I might just throw this to you, or either of you, or Tim as well. Do you foresee that 3.0 has been designed by some, with ETC in mind, or do you feel that's maybe a bit of a veer further away from that? Because we've seen a bit more of a thematic presentation from the Ninth Age team with the books and things like that this time round. Along with still maintaining a sort of a tight rule set, but a bit more into the visuals and a bit more into the theme and things like that. Were there the designer reps and stuff? Are they a part of the ETC sort of landscape?
I think a lot of those people do play ETC because they just love playing Ninth Age, right? So, and if that's the biggest teams tournament, and we don't get a lot of teams tournaments in Australia because our player base is so much smaller. But it's a really good place, a really good event to play in, like very, very enjoyable. And everyone's there having a good time, and but they're really competitive, super tough games as well. So I think that a lot of the people on the design team are ETC players, but I don't believe that it's designed specifically for ETC because there's been some rumblings on the Discord, ETC Discord channel, with people having some concerns about some features of it for ETC specifically.
Yeah.
But gamers are going to complain about everything. We all do.
Yeah. So, Sam, in your sort of from your sort of opinion, what's the biggest sort of difference for you playing teams versus playing singles?
Well, I think the primary difference would be the approach you go into games with. Because in a singles tournament, you're trying to maximize the amount of points you get, because if you don't do that, you're not going to win. So you will tend to, in a singles tournament, sometimes do more risky plays, because if it goes wrong, you're not going to win the tournament. But if it goes right, you may actually win the tournament. Whereas in a teams tournament, it's perfectly acceptable to lose a match if that's what if that will help the team, because you might be paired into a list that is very bad for the rest of the team, and you might only expect to get a 5 or something, and the team might be perfectly happy for you to get a 5 as long as that list doesn't 20 somebody. So you'll sometimes go into teams into the games in the teams tournament, and you'll go, all I need to do is get 3 points in this game and my team will be happy. So you're going to play very differently in that kind of scenario. So and because you're also playing for your country, the stakes are a lot higher, and that again pushes people to not do as much risky behavior. So you find that a lot of the games are a lot more cagey than you would have in singles tournaments. So it means that definitely some singles lists just don't really work at all, because people aren't pushing as much, so you can't rely on certain fights that would normally happen, or people will play lists that in a singles tournament you would sort of get frowned upon, like a mass shooting avoidance list. People wouldn't really be that happy for you to bring to a singles event, and you'd feel sort of a bit of a social pressure not to bring that. But in the teams tournament,
might not do that well with it either nowadays, I guess, right?
Yeah,
with an all-comers sort of approach.
Yeah, and you can tailor your list specifically for a teams tournament to avoid other lists. Whereas if you do that in a singles tournament, you're going to get, if you randomly draw into something that beats you, you're not going to win the tournament. So you can't really do that in a single. But you can do that in teams, and it is sort of encouraged in a team because that, depending on how you do your pairings, that could be quite beneficial.
Well, it has, like, I know I've spoken to Actor about this actually on our old podcast for quite a while. What do you guys find it to be? I know it's quite time consuming to prepare for. Is it something that's still very time consuming to prepare for, Sam?
We normally smash it out in 2 nights. We do half the. So you have to go through each different army in the tournament, and you have to write down from 0 to 20 what you think you're going to get against it. So,
and this is after you've spent all that time making your list, refining your list, testing your list, right?
So it was 24 teams, right, Dad? Something like that?
28.
28. So 28 times 8, minus 8 for your own team. You don't have to do the pairings for them. But you've got to go through each of those lists, look at it, and go, I think I'm going to get a 7, a 10, a 13. I think I'm going to smash it and get a 20. And that takes a long time. So we normally get it done over 2 nights, and we go through half of them on the first night, half of them on the second night. It's not an enjoyable process. It's tedious and it sucks, but it is quite important for the pairing process to help optimize how your team pairs and like how it helps the team maximize the points they get from their matchups.
Do any of the teams? Oh, sorry, Glenn. I was going to say,
go on. Sorry, as just getting on from the pairings thing, those predictions. When you're making those predictions, you don't know what the deployment or secondary is going to be. So we tend to find that out, and we find out what team we're playing. So you normally have a little bit of time, and we'll sit down and we'll, as a team, we'll spend half an hour discussing everybody's lists against the specific team you're playing. So you sort of fine tune it because then you know what your deployment and objective is as well. So that can change your prediction quite dramatically sometimes. So there's even more work, I guess I'm saying. But that's fun because you're doing it with your team and you're there at the event, so it's good.
Have any of the... Oh, we lost Sam. Hopefully it jumps back on. I was going to say, have, Glenn, in your experience, have any of the teams ever gone out there with all their best lists, just everyone's in the team just looking for a 20, and seen that approach, how it's gone?
What are they, like, super aggressive? Like everyone's playing aggressive lists and stuff?
Everyone's playing a bit like a single tournament. Everyone's just trying to go out there and get as many points as they can in every game.
I think we sort of tried that a couple of years ago in Australia. It was just take a list you want that you think's an all-comer list, and we actually didn't perform as well as we had done previously. Now that can sometimes just happen because of who you get drawn against, but the teams that do well, they have armies that are good at specific things. And Sam was alluding to it, when you're doing the pairings processes, sometimes one particular army might be super good against 2 or 3 of your opponent's armies. And that makes it really hard for them to pair because those 3 guys in the other team don't want to play that one army. So it changes the way that they try to match everything. So it's a bit hard to explain, but you need to have these specific tools in your team. Otherwise, you just can't rely on 8 people playing 8 singles lists because it doesn't really work that way. Because like Sam said, if that other person doesn't engage you, you don't get any points. So, yeah. And, I guess maybe this happens at some of the lower tables, like the teams that just turn up and there are teams that just turn up for fun. There's some countries that they just turn up and get on the booze and have a great time and don't really care too much about the results. But, our goal this year was we wanted to get a top 10 finish and we came 8th. So we were pretty happy with that. But if you're up in the top 10, then you're playing very, very strong players and very, very strong countries. So you've got to do it properly. You can't be cowboys. It doesn't work.
Well, congrats on the results. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
I think
eighth out of
I think
28.
Sam's back.
Is that a sort of a top sort of, what's the
I
sort
think
of
in
history?
my 5 years, I think the best we did might have been sixth. I want to say sixth. I don't
Yeah, I
think we ever
remember
got
a
to
sixth
five.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. And last year we were out of the top 10 last year, so that was a bit of a rough year. Yeah.
When you do the pairings, does the player come into it at all?
Look, it can do, but we try to do it based on the numbers and not on the person,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
You see,
So basically, we've got it ends up in the equivalent of like a spreadsheet with the two teams. Like, so it looks like we call it the matrix. So the matrix has our predictions versus all of the different teams, and then the um, pairing. Frederick does a lot of our pairings for us. He's one of our German mercenaries that helps us out. Um, so he converts that into colors because he understands the colors better. So he changes our numbers basically from on a scale from red through to green. So then he can just look at the colors, and what he's trying to do when he's pairing is remove as many reds as possible to leave more and more greens as you go through the pairings processes, so you get better and better pairings as you go along. So that means that someone often will end up having to play, as Sam said, a red match. Well, so one where you're going to lose, but you try to not lose by very much, yeah, or minimise the losses. You don't want to get 20'd. So it's a different way of playing when you're trying to not lose as much. You're trying not to risk anything. That's a completely different way of playing to what you normally would in the singles tournament where you're trying to get points. So, yeah.
Very
But it's
good.
very important because, if you're taking that bad matchup to let other people get a better matchup, then you want to try to minimize your points loss. And then also the pressure then comes on the person that gets the good matchup because someone's taking a bad matchup to give you an opportunity to try to score more points. So then there's lots of pressure on you to try to do well and get those points. So, yeah, so it works both ways. It's not just easy for the people that get the green matches. So they've got to try to maximize on that and get as many points as they can. So it's sort of really two extremes.
I would say it's easier getting a red matchup. It tends to be easier getting a red matchup because you're not going to get any points. So if you score a few points, you're quite happy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to agree with there. If you got the green and you're pressure to get the points, you got to go hunting for it and risk things to get those points a little bit. It can be quite tricky. What Sam? What was your sort of niche in the team?
So the list I was playing was a Vermin Swarm list with 3 lightning cannons, 3 assassins, and a Doomblade. So my list was designed to really scare things that had like monsters and like characters. And apparently it did a lot of good things in the pairing process, and it scared lots of people around. When I was actually playing the game, it wasn't great because everybody's all scared of these 3 lightning cannons, and then I actually play the game, and they all misfire and they won't do anything. And then the assassins, like the Doomblade kills himself, and the assassins like come up wrong, or I forget to bring up the assassins because people like don't fight the units that they're in because they don't want to fight 3 assassins, or they position it so that their characters leave the units that fight where the assassins would come up. Or, as happened in one game, I forget to bring the assassins up because they're 3 little models and they were in the dead pile, and I forgot about them for the whole game, and that wasn't fun. So they didn't. So on the board, the list didn't actually work out that well for me, but I am told that it did good things in pairing process, and every time I spoke to my opponent, they were like, "Oh, my team was so scared of these cannons and these assassins and the Doomblade, it really messed with our pairing process." So, well, it didn't work for me. Hopefully, it helped everybody else get better matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. Just muck with them around a bunch, right? So they're kind of sacrificing something to pair off to you or to something else. Did you see a lot of monsters in general? I mean, I guess they can hit a bunch of things, but generally they're going for monsters or flyers.
Well, Sam and I didn't see much because my list had 3 Cyclopses and Evocation Stomp.
Yeah. So in In my games, I don't think I saw too many monsters. Normally, because they were afraid of playing into a triple lightning cannon list. So I've generally fought like mainly a lot of light arm shooting. So orc light arm shooting, Sylvan elf shooting, that sort of stuff, which was quite good against me. Dwarves. So yeah, I didn't fight many monsters, but they were definitely out there. They were around. I just didn't get to play any of them.
Yeah. Well, we've coming on from that, talking about that much shooting. I really would love you to do a bit of a Vermin Swarm opinion for us with the amount of shooting that they can put out. But they've seen quite a lot of changes in the upcoming. So I'll be in contact with you, Sam. I'll show you what I'm thinking. And I assume you've played quite a few versions of Vermin Swarm and all the different sort of iterations. So you're probably ready for a plague swarm of bodies, just to change things up a little bit from the Cannon Fest. Basically, at the end of this, do you guys still feel like playing after all this sort of intense ETC, Glenn? Do you kind of get a bit worn out, or?
It's super tiring leading up to it, and then you're actually pretty exhausted once it's done. And then it takes about 2 days, and you start thinking about, I think I'd like to go again next year. And then you start writing lists again. So, and thinking about, can we get a team together? Because that's always a bit of a challenge from Australia because of our distance to travel there. And if you're traveling to Europe, it's apart from the cost of it, you tend to go, well, if I'm traveling halfway around the world, I should really have a holiday, make it worthwhile, rather than just fly in, do a 3-day event and come home. It's a bit crazy when you're, 28 hours of travel or whatever. So I would like to go again. We need to see what version we're playing and where it is, and then see if we can formulate a team again.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, when you're there, it's such a great event if you like playing war games, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely the time commitment side of things. Did you have all your armies with you with the holiday? How did that work with having your armies and then going on holiday afterwards?
Yeah, our armies travelled with us. They went on holidays with us.
Yeah, I'm just imagining you like putting them on the window on the train, and
So my army was very compact, and Sam's was actually not too bad either because he had a lot of infantry. So we were able to fit each of our armies into one of those small cube Games Workshop cases. The half-size one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just carried that
box. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what the name of it is, but it's basically like 2 layers of foam in there, with one inside the other.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's 4 layers of foam.
I think I've got one of them. I think I might have the slightly bigger one. It's full of Legion models.
Oh, okay.
Because it can fit vehicles and stuff.
I don't know. What is it? Maybe 30 centimeters a cube, 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters, maybe. And we just carried that as hand luggage. And it was pretty light. So, but we've got pretty good at traveling with not too much luggage. So we don't take big suitcases when we travel either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got it down pat. Well, yeah. I guess a bit of a thank you for representing and for organising, and fingers crossed we get some interest for the future. It is a huge, I keep hearing from everyone, it's such a big commitment, but hopefully it's rewarding for you guys and stimulating. I guess, as you said, you're writing lists on the plane back. You're not worn out, so it's pretty impressive, the dedication. So well done.
Yes. Thanks again, boys, for representing Australia. Well done, boys.
I think we spoke with Ak as well years ago about how do you play with someone who doesn't speak the same language, but I guess you are speaking a language when you're playing.
English is actually the official language, so you have to speak English at the table unless both of you decide to speak a different language.
Really? It's like in the rules.
In the rules. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And if you're playing, you can't talk to someone beside you in a different language if your opponent doesn't understand that language
at all. Wow. Is that a sportsmanship thing?
It's a sportsmanship thing, yeah. So I guess potentially you could be getting advice from someone in a different language and then your opponent doesn't know. So I guess that's the basis for it. And making English the default language means that you can always revert to that. But we have an Australian well, he has an Australian passport. Jonathan, he played for us this year, but he lives in Paris. So when we were playing against Luxembourg, he was speaking in French the whole time to his opponent. So it's quite okay to do that. But English is the default language if you can't speak the same language. Yeah.
What if you're talking to the coach in your team? Can you speak to the coach in your own language if it's not English?
Yeah, so there's specific rules around the coach, and it's really advantageous to have a coach, a non-playing coach. So the coach will, apart from keeping you well hydrated, will. So his job is to keep an eye on all of the games. So he'll wander around and keep an eye on the games just so he knows how people are going according to the predictions that we've made for the pairings. He can ask very simple questions like how are you going? How many points do you think
do you
you've
need
got?
a drink? Yeah.
Well, yes, that's an important one as well. So he can't give tactical advice except in your timeout. You're allowed a 3-minute timeout for each game, and in that you can then step with the coach and you can speak in whatever language you want, and you can whisper and speak quietly, and you'll do that usually at critical points in the game. And it might be like you've got an opportunity to push, but it might carry some risk, and if it doesn't pay off, then maybe you're going to lose badly, but if it does pay off, maybe you're going to win. And get a lot of points, and then the coach is able to tell you, well, we're actually in a really good position, so there's no need to take any risks, so don't do it. Or it might be, hey, where everyone's going down, we need points, like take the opportunity. So that's the coach's role, and then he does help out if there's a discussion about rules between the players. The coaches will often step in and try to help resolve that, and if not, they can call a judge in. They have official judges that wander around and they can help decide things like that. So that the coach is really, really handy. If you don't have a coach in your team, it's way, way tougher.
Cool.
Especially the communicating between the tables, tracking who's doing what, we need this. Yeah, the communication between the different team members, that would be tricky. Did you have a coach this time?
Yes, yeah. We've got this lovely guy, Peter. So he played for Germany in the past, and he's an elder statesman like I am as well. So I get on very well with Peter, and he likes beer, and I like beer. So we've got a good basis for our friendship. So Peter's been.
So your 3 minutes was all about beer.
Yeah. So Peter was our coach last year and the year before, I believe. So the last 3 years. Yeah, he came to Italy. Was his first one with us as coach, and he's a terrific guy. I really like him a lot.
Brilliant.
So we have a quite strong connection with a group of players in Germany, and a lot of them have played for Germany in the past, and they like playing for Australia if we get the opportunity for them. So they just like the vibe of the team, the feeling with the team, the spirit. That makes sense. So, we want to play well and we want to do well, but we still want to have fun. And I think sometimes some of the leading countries, the fun factor drops out of it because it's very, very serious. But we manage to still keep enough fun in it, because if we're traveling halfway around the world, we want to have some fun. So, yeah.
The Germans have got a thing for Aussies.
Yeah, they do. It's interesting.
Yeah. I lived there for 2 years.
Oh,
and they,
okay.
we still have lots of great German friends, and they still come out and see us. They absolutely love it. But also like really practical to have people who are in Europe, and it's a lot more feasible for them to do it. Obviously,
it's super handy. Super handy for logistics and planning and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! So we look forward to. I mean, I really want to keep in touch with you guys over the years as well, because it seems like in some ways you kind of go off into a cave. And then you re-emerge out of your chrysalis, 6 months later, and it's like, oh, it happened. It's like, what?
Yeah,
like, I know they did a bit of promotion this year on a lot of photos and videos and stuff, but when we're in Australia, it's a bit hard to keep track.
I'm not sure we come out of that chrysalis looking like a new butterfly, though. It's probably more like a manky old moth or something. So,
Can I ask a couple of quick fires? Did you play the Americans, the Poms, or the Kiwis? And did you win?
played all three. Played all three. So we always have a game versus England, which is the Ashes. So they actually have an urn, and it contains an old big rule book from 8th edition that was burnt along with a couple of models into ashes, and it's in a proper funeral urn, and that's the Ashes trophy. So we always play Ashes on the Thursday afternoon. So the event starts on Friday. So we play England as a pre-match game on the Thursday, and for this Ashes trophy. And a lot of times that sometimes feels more important than the actual ETC is to play against England. And then we go out and we have a dinner with them afterwards, which is always good fun. So we have like a team dinner with the two teams. And then we played US, I think, day 2, and New Zealand was our final opponent on day 3.
And how'd you go against them?
Uh, England beat us in the Ashes, and then I believe, well, we definitely beat New Zealand. I think did we tie, Sam? Did we tie with US? Sam's disappeared.
Yeah, I can't recall.
Let me. I should know all of this, shouldn't I? Just.
And when you say tie, because you literally.
Oh, okay. So you're still playing 20 points per game.
Yeah.
So there's 8 players per team. So there's 160 points up for grabs, but they have a cap on the points. Yeah. So the maximum that you can win is 100 points, and the maximum you can lose is 60. So if you get completely crushed, you still get 60 points for your team. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah.
So this is to stop in the early days of ETC, one of, say, a really strong team like a Poland or a Germany may have got in their round 1, which is random, might have got like the easiest team to beat in the whole tournament, and they'd get 160 points, and then no one could ever catch them, because after that you're playing Swiss, so you're playing first versus second, third versus fourth. So then you're playing very close games from that point on because you're playing the other good teams. So they put this cap in to try to minimize teams from breaking away.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably, yeah. I don't know. In my head, it's reverse. In my head, it's like, stop people from getting 0.
Well, it does that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And
It's funny how I think of it in reverse.
Yeah, I just brought up the results versus US, and it was 80-80. So it was a drawn round.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And
Well done.
New Zealand was 87 to us, 73 to New Zealand.
And we victoriously won the Bledisloe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, we often have a Bledisloe game, but it's been as well as an Ashes game beforehand, but it's been a bit challenging to organise because sometimes players, we try to get there a little bit early to acclimatise, but also just to have a bit of a look around. And some players don't arrive until the day before, so we've had trouble organising some Bledisloes with players coming in late from New Zealand and stuff. So we didn't end up playing it this year officially, but we ended up playing them.
Well,
in the,
so
in
what
the
happened
round.
was we got them in the tournament. We didn't play it beforehand, but we got them in the tournament. So Actor goes up to their team captain and says, "This is for the Bledisloe, right?" And they both agree. So it was an official Bledisloe game. So we did win the Bledisloe, apparently.
You are doing better than the rugby then, that's for sure. I think they're going for 22 times in a row this year, so we don't have to talk about that though.
Oh, that is terrifying. That is terrifying. It's again another credit to New Zealand for representing as well. Yeah. Absolute credit. It's just so bloody far away. Oh, thanks, guys. Sam, any other fun moments or anything you wanted to share about ETC before we start wrapping up? Any Any sort of fun things?
Nothing in particular. It was just a good time being there. You know, you always it's quite fun just to play new people, right? Like all these, and you get to play some very, very good opponents, and you get to see some like really high skill level games. Like I did well in the tournament here in Australia, and I was getting pumped in like ETC. So it's like a whole nother level. Like it's like a big difference. You see some really good players.
Yeah, we need that sort of that competition to sort of drive it a bit further.
Yeah,
and of course the Sydney scene is the perfect place to train those competitive edge. I've got
the baton's passed from Brisbane to Sydney, so I want to see you do good things with Ninth Age, Chris.
Thanks, buddy. And we mentioned it before, but Glenn was organising heaps and heaps of events, and really Sydney for ages had near to nothing, and it was all the Newcastle guys who we owe a lot to, Jack Blanche and all that crew. So we're kind of trying to give back a little bit now. A lot. To be honest, a lot of us in this group as well, young kids, and that sort of demo. But now we get the dad weekends, so we're it's our getaway.
Yes.
So we'll have the one dayers rolling, 3, 4, 5 a year. We'll see how we go, and sprinkle in a few bigger ones if we can. So it's been so great to have again to catch up with you guys again and get it back on board. But appreciate that, Glenn.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
I reckon one of the last big events I came to was a Brisbane one, actually. Probably the only one I've proper travelled for as well, if you don't count CanCon, because I'm probably close enough to CanCon. I could drive there easily, but
Is that one that
ASPC? Is that?
Oh yeah. That
ring
was
a bell?
in the School of Arts building. That Morningside School of Arts. Yeah, I think we were watching Norseman at my house, drinking some beer before it.
That's absolutely right. We were watching Norseman at your house. I went home and watched the rest of it. It was great. Oh, so great. So we kind of transitioned. Now we say goodbye to all that. We had a big a big thing called COVID in between. So
that sort of messed our scene up quite a lot. And then obviously
more recently,
more recently with Old World, it's just drawn some Ninth Age players' attention away to play that game, and I understand it. It's the shiny new kid on the block, and I guess they seem to be getting pretty good numbers. So there's some attraction in going to events where there's more players. I like the quality of player and the quality of person that we get at our Ninth Age events. So I think that's
definitely
what keeps me coming back to Ninth Age. Yeah. So if you've got 60 people, but only 10 of them know how to know the rules, it makes for a challenging event. Yeah.
If you go to an Old World event, there's a chance. I'm not saying there's a chance you might play a fuckwit, but in the Ninth Age, 99% of the time you're going to play a good bloke. So
Tim's planning on going to some Old World events. That's what he's saying.
Your mileage may vary. I guess every scene's got people that are fringe dwellers, right?
Yeah.
I think Sam and I played one Old World event up here in Brisbane, and it was well attended. I think it had close to 50 players. It was interesting. I think it spawned a lot of people out of the
sphere.
Woodwork, and they're just not regular gamers. So you've just got to approach it with a different point of view, I think. So I didn't want to sound negative about that, but one of the things that I really liked about Ninth Age is that the people that we've been playing with, they've all become friends, which is really great. And they, because they've played a lot of events and a lot of tournaments, like you have really good games, and you're not having to discuss a rule because the other person doesn't know it. There's no real gotcha moments. Whereas I think with so many new players and new rules in Old World, you get lots of those gotcha moments where so a player knows that their army can do this, but the opponent doesn't, and it's not very fair from that point of view, because it's just so new. People just don't know stuff like the crazy triple marches on units, and
wait, I can't shoot fanatics? Like I can't shoot
sort of
them?
stuff, right?
I can't fireball them? No.
Yeah,
that was my one. And the ethereal things getting turned into ethereal, completely ethereal. I was just like, awesome.
I do have a little wry grin when I read the players packs for old world events, and there's people putting comp on the packs and adding things like secondary objectives, and I look at it and go, you're just trying to make this like Ninth Age. Why don't you just play Ninth Age? But it's
Yeah, we can't really say that.
It's the
you're absolutely right.
It's the romanticism. It's the Games Workshop romanticism. I think a lot of the people that are playing that played it as kids, or they grew up playing it, and they're fifth, sixth, seventh edition players and stuff. So I get why they want to go back and play it. I fully understand that. But I just like the rule set for Ninth Age and how well written it is. Yeah.
Agreed. It's another It's really its own sort of beast, isn't it? It is big, new, shiny thing.
I think it deserves to have a lot more people playing it than it does, but it's hard to get people to go away from the big commercially driven games.
We have we kind of have our new shiny thing pretty shortly. Pretty shortly after we've had all our new books drop. We've got. I think we even had new surveys for updated books and a timeline that's come out. It's all going to be evolving pretty quickly now, our 3.0. So we'll just have maybe a quick sort of hit from each of us. If we can maybe talk about one thing you're excited for to round out. What are you excited for about maybe playing 3.0 or any things in the future related to 3.0 at all? So can I have a volunteer to go first, or should I go first?
I'll have a chat
go
about
for it,
this.
Sam.
So, not having played a game, that's the big caveat here. The thing that I quite like the look of is the whole new captain system, because I always thought that champions and challengers were the most broken thing in 2.0. Like, the stuff you can get away with challenges, so like the classic example is always the 8 vampire dogs with a champion that can charge a dragon and know for certain that the dragon will not be able to do anything for 2 turns. It just always felt very wrong to me. So I'm excited to see the removal of the champions, and then we get in the new captain system, which I think is really interesting. The fact that you have these characters that are like upgraded champions, and they're characters, they can't leave their units and they have to stick with the units. I think that's quite an interesting system. You get all the benefits, and you get because you got a captain in the unit, you're allowed to run this unit away from your other army because they'll get the general and the BSB bonus if you got those on the board. So I think that's quite interesting. That's a whole list building approach that we've not experienced before in Ninth Age, I think.
Yeah, phenomenal. It seems like each army book's probably going to muck with that in different ways. It's going to have its own uses for the captains or non-uses, I suppose. I think Vermin Swarm are going to have the senators get to be captains. Is that right, or am I?
I believe the senators can be captains, and the what are they called? The little boys can also be the captains.
Oh, the prefects.
The prefects, yes. So I believe the fetus prefect costs like 40 points, and it's like by far the cheapest captain you can take in the whole game. So that's like the gold standard for cheap captains. But a cheap captain is not necessarily a good captain, because if you're running a cheap captain, it's probably going to die first thing, the first combat of the game, and that sort of invalidates the whole point of taking the champion, the captain, if it's no longer giving you benefits. So there's definitely downsides to some of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Glenn, you got something you're looking forward to?
I think they realised that the game had developed a little bit of bloat at 4,500 points, with some things being quite a bit cheaper. So I'm looking forward to having smaller armies on the table and it still being balanced. Because previously the game's balanced for 4,500 points, but you can put a lot of models on the table in 2.0 at 4,500, and that does tend to slow the game down a little bit. And I do like some of the more simplified movement, like the single models are having less of an impact, I think, because it was single models are super powerful in 2.0. So it's nice. I think that's been toned back a little bit. Undecided on Magic Phase at this stage. But I think from people, people that I've spoken to that have played it have felt that the game feels a lot more streamlined and faster than it was, and that can't be a bad thing. So,
well said, well said. Tim, how about you?
Yeah, for me, the season packs is a big draw because only recently in these sort of this year's tournaments we've been playing these sort of supplementary scenarios for when in the 2.0, and I didn't even know they existed. So we're just playing the same 6 scenarios again and again and again. This year, all these new fresh scenarios, like I'm loving it. So yeah, if they keep coming out with brand new fresh scenarios, it'll be great. Yeah, I do like the way the blocks move now. They've got the sort of more variety to the way they move, maybe a bit more, moveable and things like that. So
flexibility.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting combination of maneuverable and not maneuverable with the normal walking and the marching.
Yes, that's also true. Yeah, so marching only sort of wield once and things like that. So yeah, I'm still sort of learning it. I used a lot of monsters. I used a lot of MSU, and those things seem to have been nerfed in my main army. So I have to tweak the my before list and after list will be quite different, I think.
Yeah, so, that's a little sneak peek there. We'll have to get you on for Warriors of the Dark Gods new list, old list, coming soon to a YouTube channel near you. I think mine's a bit of a combination of yours. It's all about playability, time for me, just how easy is it to get to the table. So it's really great to see some conscious choices to make it more streamlined. I just love the how they've mucked around. I'm just such a nerd. How they mucked around with the rule wordings and then merged a few rules, deleted some out that we didn't need. I mean, we've already spoken about challenges. That was a pretty big glaring one. But in terms of just like the special rules, like you got zeal, dying blow, these sort of all these other cool little words in there that are like a nice simplified version of a rule instead of having every you look at an example like flagellants or baronites, and you don't need extra text underneath the profiles. It's basically just it's all in there.
I think they used to call that nested rules.
Nested,
they had all these rules within rurules within
Couched,
rules.
Yep.
Yeah, so you had your chariot, war platform, right?
Yeah, war platform. Yep, 100% towering presence.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and you have to go and keep jumping between multiple rules to find out how to resolve something.
Yep.
It's not just one rule. I remember the first game that Sam and I ever played with that Island of Blood set, and I think they weren't even 1,000-point armies. They're 750-point armies or something they were, I think, for 8th edition, and it took us, was it 7 hours, Sam?
Yeah, something like
that. To play the game?
7 hours to play with.
Yeah, because we had no one to show us how to play.
Absolutely.
So this was our first ever game. It's like, okay, and we had that little tiny rule book that came in it, which was the big rule book, just cut down.
Yeah.
And I just remember going, oh, okay, this is what I want to do, and I'd read the rule, and then it would say, oh, but you have, and then it would refer to another rule, and then you'd have to read that rule and then jump to another rule, and it'd be like 4 separate rules to find one thing. So that was a really bad example of nested rules, and how challenging that is. So I'm very happy to see a lot less of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got just an example to show, is that the flagellants is the one that I wanted to mention because they've got no special rule underneath, but they've got
there's no text, is there, right? It's just
bunch of keywords. So you got Fury, which is your battle focus. You got Dying Blow, which is you don't get removed until agility 0. You've got exclusive Zealot, so you can't join characters to it unless they've got Zealot. The ones that we're used to, Fearless, Frenzy, Stubborn, Unstable was added in there. Unruly is a new one, meaning they're not as good at command tests. And they've also got Resistance melee, so any melee attacks against them have to be re-rolled. Even though they're just Res 3 humans, they still have resistance to melee attacks in brackets.
Well,
they don't know they're hurt. They don't know they're hurt until the end. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all in there. There's no special mucking around with that. And you don't have a standard bearer, meaning you can't be scoring.
And
so
you can't get the general's leadership if you've got a captain in them as well.
Mm-hmm. You can put a priest in there. You can put a zealot priest in there. So great weapon, fury, dying blow, blokes with reroll to hit on the first round. There's another one, first strike brackets hatred. Yeah, I just love how they mucked around with that wording and just appeals to the game nerd in my head. Just not having to, as you said, not having to flick through all those rules.
Well, they've got that. They have that PDF document. I think they call it model rules. So basically, you'll have your army. Once you know the mechanics of the game, you'll have your army book, which you're looking at there with flagellants as an example, and then you'll have your little model rules folder, and you can just look in that one little book, and you'll know everything that your units do from that one book. Yeah.
I'm learning so much. I should come on the podcast every week so I can learn the rules this way. But no, big shout out to the rule books, and they, with all those beautiful pictures of models and all the fluffy background stuff in there, they've done such a great job. Like, it's no longer just sort of a sterile page of rules. It is part of the world that they've built, and having those, it's made a huge difference. I really like it. This is what makes a bit more to the colour print, though. But
this is what makes this whole scene so interesting, because I like the sterile rulebook with no pictures and no fluff.
And and they seem to have catered for both groups with it. So that you've got this sort of learn to play book, and I've read the whole learn to play book, and it was great. Because as you said, if there's no one there to show you, reading the rules is an absolute pain in the ass. And I think that rule book, I think we all pretty much could agree that the having the slim look for the rule book is actually really hard to
and if you want to read your fluff, it's there, right? So, but I'm not a fluff guy.
There you go. We've got more background out of Glenn now.
Yeah.
So,
because I assumed, but Chris, I lent you the novel, the Nice Age novel. Have you cracked it open yet?
I'm gonna start reading it. Yeah, I was actually reading a bit of the other background stuff. I'm getting into more human armies, so Sunna, and trying to work out what all the religious background is a little bit, just to get a bit of a fluff. And I just to close out my Mini Factory. You guys know My Mini Factory, most likely. Had a 50% off sale, the mid-year sale. I basically had like 20, 30 things in my favorites waiting for the sales to come along. And I didn't spend that much. I don't have that much money to spend, honestly. But I got like warrior nuns and all this sort of stuff. So we've got the warrior nuns coming, and the Teutonic Knights and all that sort of stuff.
I bought some Dragon Empire and stuff, so yeah.
Oh, they're so beautiful.
Yeah.
We'll have to, and I know Tim's got some orcs, going to get him some more orc ball boys and stuff. So to go with the Avatars of War, really awesome Avatars of War orcs, which seem to fit in really nicely with the GW ones. So I think that's it. We've gone a little bit longer than we thought, but we really appreciate the inside, Glenn. I think Sam's popped off, but
Sam's gone to bed. Yeah.
you could say thanks to him as well.
Okay.
Good. Thanks for your time, and hopefully we can come on again in a few weeks. And
always happy to jump on. So, and then maybe you're right. We possibly have been slack with not communicating everything that the ETC team's doing. So maybe this is a good channel for us to do that.
The goal for me when I first started this was actually not to promote it, but just to promote stuff in general. It was even across different formats, not just Ninth Age, but it's been great to get Ninth Age people together. So that's what we've been focusing for the time being.
Yeah. But if we get a team up and running, then we can certainly do regular updates via Part-Time Warlords. I think that'd be good for everybody.
Legendary. Yeah, really. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. We can also kind of learn from you guys a little bit on a few different areas. I've always learned something playing against someone from the ETC team. Always learning something.
I learned that an entire army can scout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned how, 0.1 degree can result in you losing turn 1. It's great.
Yeah, that's frustrating, right?
No, it is what it is. But it just makes me more excited to play a new edition, to have something new to muck around with, to play and make new armies. So look forward to the new content coming out, everyone. And thanks if you've listened for this long. And Tim, thanks again, buddy. Thanks for co-hosting when I'm cutting in and out.
No worries, mate. Thanks.
No,
Thanks for inviting me again. Yeah, always have fun.
Appreciate it. All right, this is going to be a fun one to cut together. So thank you very much, guys. Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Sam. If you're there, Sam, and
I'm here. It's good to be on here.
We look forward to playing soon, whether it's online or in person, buddy.
Yeah.
See how we go. All right. Good night, fellas.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
All.
See ya.